Hey guys, you are listening to Vol, and I had a game of War Machine Hordes this weekend. Well, let's call it a game of Hordes, because it was Circle against Scorn, and as you can see it was a rather large game. One of my favourite ways to play War Machine Hordes is the bigger points levels. This was 200 points. On the Circle side we had Bradigus, Kromac, Epic Kaya, and P. Morvahna. On the Scorn side we had Xerxes 2, that's Epic Xerxes, we had Zal and Corvas, we had Rasheth and P. Makeda, so Prime Makeda. The scenario was a custom scenario. It looks like Outflank, but we made a rule that you have to get 5 to win as usual, but you can only score a maximum of 1 control point per turn. A little bit of bromance there with the photo. Maximum of 1 control point per turn, and you have to dominate to get that point. So it essentially takes 5 turns to actually win. So the idea of that is that it's not possible for one person to just have this massive turn where you feat with all your casters and clear the 2 zones and dominate both of them for 4 and then just clear one of the zones to win. It'd be too easy that way. We made it a 4-hour death clock, so both players had a maximum of 4 hours to play. Any longer than that and it just takes too long. We started about 10:30 in the morning and had a lunch break, so if you play for 8 hours, you know, it just gets too tiring. Remember, these games are more about getting all of your models in your collection onto the table and taking photographs, more so than actually beating the other guy, although you do your best to get an advantage. The game really was going to come down to the caster matchups, I felt. We exchanged lists beforehand. I decided to pick casters that I hadn't really used before at the higher levels. I also played Bradigus because I've just recently bought the model, even though I don't have any World Watchers. My opponent has gone for the tougher Warlocks. I mean, all of his Warlocks have very powerful control abilities and feats, whereas had I optimized my Warcasters, Warlocks I should have said, Baldo 1 for solid ground and the feet in the forest, Kruger 2 for just getting rid of the guns, you know, no blast damage, you know, because of the templates going away along with solid ground. Morvahna 1 is a staple, but Morvahna 2 is even better for the rerolls. And 4th caster, I'm not sure, probably Mosar because anti-scorn. So those are the casters I would have chosen if I wanted to maximize my ability to win on attrition, but I went for the fun guys, but I was up against it this game. My battle plan basically was to block the middle of the field with clouds and forests, which I managed to achieve thanks to Morvahna 1's feat, the Druids to some extent as well, but with his Mammoth he was able to get Isla Sight on it and blast me, and with Epic Xerxes' feat he gets Cyto boost and everything, so he was able to do a lot of damage with the Mammoth early rounds. When any models die on the battlefield, Zal gets a token which he can use to boost, so the feat turn is going to have like 40 or 50 free boosts, which is extreme. The game sort of was split into 3 sections, the left, middle, and right hand flank. I did very well on the right hand flank because that's where the Bloodtrackers with regrowth were. On the left hand flank he really overran me with his ancient guys. I forget what they're called, but yeah. We had a little bit of action here once Moloch Khan and Tiberian got into the Guardian, destroying it. But then I counterattacked with Megalith and Kromac, and lightning struck with Kromac back. And Bradigus moved up to cast a battering ram to get Moloch back out of range so that the Woldwrath could fit through the gap. So when Woldwrath came through, he destroyed Moloch, so it takes down Tiberian, and Moloch got the Feral in there to kill a couple of things as well. But remember, what really makes this game so difficult is that he's got 2 Agonizers. They're the entire time a -2 strength. As soon as Rasheth puts his feet up, I'm again -2 strength. When he's attacking me, he's getting huge amounts of buffs from Zal and Xerxes' feet. He's got mobility and ignite and a lot of other things. The Shamblers are almost impossible for me to deal with as well. But in terms of attrition, it worked really, really well. It was really fun. I would really love to play a rematch of this game with the more powerful versions of the Circle casters, but you know, it was more fun to use the ones I hadn't really used very much in the larger games, I should say. So what ended up happening in this game was that, you know, with the 4-hour death clock, Dave actually ran out of time. By the way, that photo there you just saw the Mammoth basically cleaning up under Zal's feet. The Mammoth charges in and boosts everything and just buys 4 attacks. So he's got 7 fully boosted attacks, which wiped out the Woldwrath, the Stalker, the Fulcrum, just absolute carnage all around. So Dave eventually got to a point where he was easily comfortably able to win on scenario with 5 control points to 0, but he clocked out before he did that. He had about 10 minutes to spare before he managed to achieve that point, but it took him 4 hours before he could get to that point. We kept playing. Kromac jumped in to kill Makeda, whose beasts were fully maxed out, and the Mammoth frenzied into the Pureblood, which was a lot of fun. And then Rashith comes in with his debuff onto Kromac, and then we've got Xerxes 2 charging in. We can't really have a proper game without Xerxes getting into combat, and Xerxes destroys Kromac. Bradigus is back here with no battle group anymore and can't get into the zone. Archidon unable to finish him off. And that's the end of it. Doing very well on the right-hand flank, but Scorn have a win to attrition. For me, it was a win on Deathclock, but at the end of the day, we both had a lot of fun and got our massive model collections onto the table, and that's what really counted.